because I really want to get behind this. Hey, True Believers England team here. I'm with Dalton, the Authenticator. We're going to be talking, anybody who wants to jump on is going to be talking about this whole thing with Paul Dini. Now, I've only seen clips. I haven't read the article. I looked at the article, and there's like 15 or 20 questions, and then they get to this.
It's not Bruce Timm? I think Paul Dini and he had a falling out years ago.
Okay, yeah.
I think it is Bruce Timm.
You know how it is sometimes where I think one name and I say the other. It is Batman Cape Crusader came out of a pit. Oh, you know what? I should actually share this out. Hey, Dark Admiral, what's up?
That's one of the reasons I'm here. He occasionally needs a spare brain, folks.
That is true. It's not for intelligence. It's for memory, for sure. Batman Cape Crusader came out of a pitch to revisit Bruce Timm's classic animated series. Yes, of course. Warner Brothers is desperate. Warner Brothers, more than any other movie studio I have seen, shoot themselves in the foot. The fact that we haven't had hundreds of DC movies even before the MCU started is ridiculous. Even if it was just animated, it should have been in that case. So anyway, this is a whole thing with the Television Academy. They are interviewing him. And for most of it, it's just, hey, what's the origin story behind your last reimagining of Batman? Like, we all haven't heard this before. And he says, I blame this show on James because my bosses were interested in going back and revisiting the BTS. Hey, we need cash. Let's go to that thing everybody loves instead of doing all this shit that nobody loves. And
correct. Obviously correct answer. Why did you do it?
And then at some point in time, something came into all of that where nobody loves. And this is where it comes in, this part right here. I literally clapped when I saw the Penguin was a woman and heard Minnie Driver doing her voice. It was unexpected and a wonderful surprise. Why?
Oh, God.
Why is it a wonderful surprise? I really, really want to know why somebody would say, hey, that's great. He's a woman now.
Because durgle.
I mean, seriously. Okay. Oh, wow. That was surprising. But no. Hey, that's awesome. No, it isn't. It truly, truly is not.
You gonna have any ideas for the actual character of the character? Any plots that you'd like to explore with the character?
Yeah,
no, you just want to sex change them. Why not?
Like if all of it, if they were like, oh, okay, now that's something, and then they did brilliant things with, I guess they're calling him Penguina in this one. Then okay, what they did with that character was awesome. I can buy into that. I can believe that. But oh my gosh, I just saw the gender swap. My mind blown. Oh no, it's not. Not at this point. Have you been to a Comic-Con like 15, 20 years ago, maybe 25, 30? I have. And you would get a ha, there's a guy dressed like Cinderella. Okay, that's one to do. But now it's like, who fucking cares? And yet they still act like they're being this, there's this big rebellion. Oh my gosh, we're gender swapped heroes. Who fucking cares? Nobody cares anymore.
Yeah, Tim, small point, sir. You built the 90s. You are one of the reasons why it was so awesome to grow up.
You're definitely jumping the gun, but we will get to that. Hello to Dark Admiral saying DC animated movies were hitting on all cylinders for a while and then just fell off. And Dave, I literally clapped when I saw Crypto was a kitty cat. Exactly. So anyway, Tim says, James and I were talking about the overview of the show, and we said one of the problems with Batman as he is there's a lack of good villains. You've got Catwoman, you've got Poison Ivy, and you've got Harley Quinn. But it would really be good to have more female villains. Okay, now, here is my take on this. I think he misspoke. I know everybody's going crazy. I even have it on the thumbnail. They suck because he says there is a lack of good villains. Giving the examples, Catwoman, Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, I think he meant to say good female villains, which once again, sorry, you're full of shit.
Still wrong.
You still
very obviously wrong.
Yeah, you could still go for, and I'm only going to name one. You could still go for characters like Magpie. There's a lot of female villains to go for. Shiva is awesome.
The Phantasm.
The Phantasm and
Talia
oh
al Ghul.
Yeah, thank you. That was the one I was forgetting. Talia al Ghul. There are awesome female villains. So no. And what really pisses a lot of people off about this is exactly what you were saying. A whole bunch of people who are now 40 were 10 years old when Batman animated series came out, and that's the way they learned about Batman. That and Batman 89, because that thing was huge. You have no idea how huge it was.
Yeah,
so, this whole thing.
I broke the VHSs of both of those movies when I was a kid because I watched them so much.
It was Batmania in 89 was just unreal. So he says, you've got Catwoman, you got Poison Ivy, you've got Harley Quinn, but it would really be good to have more female villains. I'm sorry, maybe I read that wrong. Dalton, did they say Catwoman, Poison Ivy, and who?
Harley Quinn.
I'm sorry, one more time. That's just not registering. Harley
freaking Quinn, the character they actually created.
They created that. So that came from the cartoon.
Yes.
So
30 freaking years ago and change, yes.
So instead of creating another genius female character, they said, you know what? We have nothing to do with the Penguin. Forget about the fact that some of the best in episodes were Penguin-based. My favorite Penguin being the one where they discovered where the garage that the Batmobile got repaired in.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it. Some of the best Batman stories in the animated series were of the Penguin. Now, you're forgetting Red Claw, says Ethereal. It's absolutely ridiculous. After that, it's almost like, why the even read on, because that's the most ridiculous thing ever said. One, that Batman doesn't have interesting female characters, and two, he ignores the fact that they created Harley Quinn for that animated series
30 years ago.
30 years ago. Yeah, you don't think you have one more in her?
And he's still acting like it's new, dude. Like this is the thing that I've noticed with a lot of creatives from that period of time that we all love so much. They, one, don't seem to understand what they did right in the first place.
Yeah.
Or two, they claim that by rewriting things, they are just returning it down to its original idea or the original vision they had or whatever the frick. The problem
that's the biggest lie. That is the biggest freaking lie anybody says.
Let's play with it for the sake of the argument. Let's assume that that's true. If these retconned ideas are closer to your original ideas, then you should thank your editors and buy them a freaking steak and a lobster dinner. That's what you should do.
Yeah.
Because apparently, assuming that people like Bruce Timm or cough cough Neil Gaiman are being truthful when they say this was closer to their original idea, then your original idea was worse than the heavily edited version that actually made it to page or made it to screen. You should stop being egotistical hacks and learn to accept when your base ideas are actually improved by other people's input, not diminished by them.
Okay, so he says, we never really figured out exactly what to do with the Penguin. Once again, horseshit. What the gimmick for the Penguin would be. How about that he is the short, rich guy who was put upon rather than abandoned. And he ended up becoming a crime lord where he has gained respect in that. He is the ugliness that people see in Gotham.
High-class criminal with a bird obsession and a deformity. That's all it ever needed to be.
In the physical and in action, he is the ugliness of Gotham embodied. And they said, what if we gender flip the Penguin? That's the fucking easiest. The only thing easier than gender flipping a character is race swapping. It's like, okay, we're going to do this because what? Everybody else has done it. At this point in time, it's like I said, it's not shocking. It's just stupid at this point.
And it adds nothing to the actual quality of the story, which is the more important
trope. It's more of a trope than the strong woman who does not need a man in the medieval times. Medieval times, medieval, however you want to say it. Point being is we see so many. Oh, I must start. What was the one? I actually enjoyed the movie, but one came out this year with Six or whatever her name is from Stranger Things.
Furiosa.
No. It was on Netflix. That was Anna Taylor-Joy, but it was all about this girl who she ends up in a dragon's den because she got married to the prince, and the prince turned out to be a dick.
That thing. I know the movie you're talking about, but I can't place the title.
Yeah, anywho, I mean, they used it all the way up to now. And this thing, the whole swapping is the same way. It's not original. It's actually very freaking lazy. What you should have done, and maybe this is just damsel, thank you, Ethereal, and her name's Bobby Brown. Thank you, guys. But here's a thought. And you know what? For as much as I hate Mark Waid, for as much as I am not a big fan of QUIRK as people, writers, they're fucking off the charts. But as people, but as much as I don't like them as people, I give them all the credit, because when they go to write something, they read all they can about the past.
Because that's the job.
It is the job. If you're going to do Batman, you read the Batman comics. At the very least, you hire a team to, and you say, if you find an interesting element, or if you find somebody maybe they haven't even been heard of, and we could twist them into somebody, make them famous, give it to us. For fuck's sake, you could even bring in Catwoman from the very beginning, where she was more of a demure thief, and call her something else, the Countess or something. You could go to the TV show and get Ma Barker, you know, played by Shelley Winters, I believe it was. You know, you could get anything, and you could bring them into the show. Wasn't
the premise of Caped Crusader supposed to be something like the early days of Batman, a Batman Year 1 or Year 2 situation? Why not go and base it on those comics, which are very well loved by most people? Like everyone loves Year 1. You cannot tell me that if Bruce Timm came out and said, we're doing a Batman Year 1 or Year 2 style thing with an animation style similar to the animated series, you could print money on that faster than you could off a printing press.
When I saw the preview for this I was not excited for anything else like I was this cartoon. And then when I saw Penguina, I haven't seen an episode. I have not seen an episode. I don't want to. I know how it's going to go. You know, I know I will. But for fuck's sake, that bird really snapped at me. I'm tired. You do this enough. It's one of the reasons why I don't do this too much. I see, what's his name? The bearded guy. He always does these.
Alan Moore?
The thumbnail. He's a YouTuber, famous now. Does the same thing I used to do. This guy.
Gary.
No. Fucking hell. Thinking Krill. Wes. Sorry, guys, my brain is out to lunch here. Anywho, I see the stuff he's doing, and I see the stuff the other dude, Perch, is doing, and all I could think of is you're doing the same shit I was doing 7 years ago, and so like I get tired. I get tired just looking at their video thumbnails. I watched Perch's video today. And I went, my gosh, he is saying exactly the same thing. And Norm, I used to joke about it, like they watched my videos so they could get ideas. But Perch was going off on the fact that why make Falcon Captain America when Falcon is a strong character? As a matter of fact, you're weakening. I mean, like everything I've ever said about the Falcon, he said today.
Which we've been saying since 2016, but whatever.
They're literally, I've been saying that since the fucking Secret Empire. But it's the same thing, and you just get tired after a while. This is old hat. Come up with another idea than gender swap. But that's not even the big point here. But Tucker goes on to say, when he said maybe we could gender flip Penguin, I got this flood of ideas. I was thinking of Marlene Dietrich in her tuxedo in Cabaret, the musical, not the same actress. Oh, he says and Cabaret. and the art form of cabaret, and I was just started drawing. I instantly got flooded with ideas. Oh, no, you didn't. You got flooded with one idea. Draw Penguin as a woman. You look at Penguina, it's Penguin as a woman. There's no new idea there.
There's not even a premise. There is a aesthetic difference, essentially.
Also, I was thinking a little bit of Harvey Firestein and Hairspray and Divine. It was like instantly I knew. Drag queens?
Okay,
that
so
was your big fucking idea? Guess what has existed forever?
So start with that idea and then build a character from the ground up based on that premise. If you really want to play that game, please feel free to actually play it, but don't get out an old game, slap a new label on it, and act like you've done something new. Again, this is from at least half of the team that gave us Harley Quinn from scratch. I refuse to believe that they have become this like myopically, egotistically obsessed with their own quote-unquote talent and so uncreative that they can't at least feign the same creativity they used to have. But apparently, same thing with Bruce Timm here as with Neil Gaiman every time I see him in any modern-day article. They don't understand what they got right in the first place, and two, they actually resent a lot of what people liked about their stuff, or they resent that the things people ended up liking about their stuff wasn't the things they wish it was, or they wanted, or the message they wanted to send her, and they feel like they need to take the power back away from people who enjoy things for some reason. The fan becomes the enemy.
Let me take some of these comments. There's a couple of good ones here. Seems like Tim didn't contribute anything to the success of anything he worked on. That's what you were bringing up. MK says, I still enjoy DC animated more than Marvel side by side, but both have their flaws. DC is a bit iffy nowadays, and Marvel has nothing other than Miles. Yeah. I didn't like the second movie as much as I liked the first, I'll say. But it was still good. I still enjoyed it. I think they changed things in Caped Crusader from the original concept. If it's its own animal, it's not the Batman animated series. What I would see is Penguina. One of her boys becomes Penguin, but I heard they took care of that. I don't know. Let's see. That's what Bruce Timm would do with zero people talking to him, and a good old-fashioned, no, don't do that. It's going to suck. Star Wars MCU saying, I like the animation, but the story wasn't up to the usual standard for DC animated features and series. Once again, full out, cards on the table. I saw the Penguina thing, and all my excitement to see it is gone. I haven't watched it yet. I haven't watched Acolyte either, even though I've threatened to do episode reviews and such like that. I'm lazy, and no, seriously, I'm just lazy. All right,
there's only so much time there's only so many times you can watch something you love be raked over the coals before your very eyes before it loses its flavor a little bit.
Well, it's like I said before, and I'll say this about the Batman animated series that I said about Star Wars, because I hear people, well, they ruined Star Wars. No, George Lucas, if anybody, ruined Star Wars. There are still 3 excellent movies. And I still think with all the changes, they're still excellent. And that's Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. No amount of Acolyte or Boba Fett or Obi-Wan or anything like that has destroyed Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. It's one of the perfect trilogies, even with the changes. I prefer the originals, but even with the changes. As a matter of fact, I would actually like the special effects changes without the story changes, like Han shooting first or Luke yelling as he's falling after Darth Vader reveals that he's his father. Spoiler alert. Because I think that changes the story. Don't change the story. You can change the special effects all you want. I don't mind an update. But still. Anyway, let's see. Cartoon saying his last chance of doing this. Bruce Timm is an idiot. We need capitalism and production of culture, not morons who don't have what it is for good sales. Hello to Jay and Ethereal. They made Catwoman incompetent, who Batman has to save while she's running from him. Okay. All righty. Yeah, there you go, guys. Let's see. The reviewer says, well, again, it was a fun reveal as a fan. You think you know so much about Batman's world, and then you see something you didn't expect. That is not Batman's world. This isn't a surprise within the world. if Penguin came and out and introduced his wife, Penguina, that would be a surprise in Batman's world. The couple, I think it's last year before, they defrosted Nora Freeze, and she thought being a criminal was just howdy doody. You know, that's a surprise in Batman's world, because Nora Freeze was put on such a pedestal. We all have this idea that she's going to be angelic, but somebody
still
said,
arguably not good, but you know.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The question was, of course, what if she wasn't angelic? What if she gets defrosted and she's more evil than Victor Freeze himself? That's a way to have a surprise in Batman's world. This is not Batman's world. Let's see. I thought Catwoman was pretty good, says Joe. They can't ruin my 22 DVDs of the series and the 5 movies in my collection of the DC animated universe. They cannot. Exactly. We all have the originals. Buy physical media, kids. And if you did like I did and you sold a shit ton of it, buy it back, because they're going to change it.
Physical media is the savior of the future, folks.
That's another one, yeah. I much prefers the positivity and camaraderie from your stuff, like your comic cover rankings videos. Please don't chase the negative algorithm. This is something I wanted to talk about, Dave. That's it. But yeah, I definitely want to talk comics more. I hated that, to be honest. I hated what they did with Norris as Dark Admiral. But there you go. You got to admit, though, it was a surprise. It was interesting.
Yeah, at least it abided by some kind of in-universe logic. And that's one of the things I've noticed, too. Speaking of things where writers get in their own freaking way and sabotage themselves.
Yeah.
They don't seem to have any understanding of the importance or the relevance of in-universe logic anymore. It's always, what does this say with my themes? What does this say with a message? What does this say about me and my creative genius? Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, has no one ever told you that you are not important? It's the ideas that you have that are important. Like, has it never occurred to anyone that they're supposed to be, as artists, serving a higher purpose than themselves, their politics, or their own ego? I just don't get it anymore.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And they think you're stupid when you bring up in-universe logic. That's the other thing that flummoxes me every time. Like, not only are they never going to care about in-universe logic, they think you're childish and stupid for caring about in-universe logic.
Ultimately, the Batman Caped Crusader is just another Elseworlds. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Elseworlds. I got the trade paperbacks right up here on my shelf. So a lot of times I'm A-okay. Look, I'm fine. You do Batman Caped Crusader however you want. Don't lie about it. You know for a fact there's good Batman villains. It's Bruce freaking Timm who created the Batman animated series along with Paul Dini. The whole thing about, well, we didn't know what to do with it. Don't lie to us. Don't act like, let's just say, look, it's the sign of the times. We just jumped on the old freaking bandwagon and tried to see where it rolls. If that's the case, then state that's the case. Don't lie to us about it. Like, well, we didn't think Batman had good villains.
Said the people behind the animated series.
I know, right?
Like,
Batman easily has the best rogues gallery in comic book history. The only one who might come close is Spider-Man, maybe the Flash.
And several of the best versions of those best villains were in the animated series created by that creative team.
Yeah. Elseworld and Multiverse, inability to create anything new and profitable. Hey, look, you could say that now, but Gotham by Gaslight was awesome. What was it? Emerald Knight was awesome. The Bloodstorm I'm looking up here to see.
Yeah.
Like I can see that far without my glasses. Bloodstorm. There were some really good Elseworlds.
It's not the Elseworlds or the multiverse's fault. It's the lack of effort and the lack of care. It's the simple fact that they don't seem to care about the things they've made. They care more about their own ego and their own messaging and their own non-diegetic bullshit than they do about the things that made them famous in the freaking first place. And they actually resent they had to use those things to become famous in the first place on some level, I think.
There you go. All right, kids. I wanted to keep this a one topic because in about 28 minutes, we're going to be looking at some independent comic book covers from the 1980s. I actually drew up 3 thumbnails. I put up the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Hold on. Maybe I could share them here. And you guys could, I'll ask you guys. Let me see if I can't get these up. You could tell me which one would be the better one. I'll let you guys choose it. Not the auctions. I need the tier lists. Here's my tier list folder. Season 4. Go on down to 1980 independent comics. Man, this was rough, by the way. There are not a lot of iconic 1980s independent comic books, so I really had to search out for people that you guys may have heard, and then what is the best or what is the most interesting. So these are the 3 thumbnails I've got, and I want the chat, you guys, to vote on them. The first one, this is the one I used right away. This is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're very similar. I like to keep these thumbnails looking similar so you can immediately recognize that that's what this is. Then we have Judge Dredd and Rocketeer. Which one do you guys think is the best of the 3? And that is the one that I will be using. I think that will be it. Yeah. So yeah, let me get a cool Turtles cover. Yep. Obviously, I also gave you a preview of 3 of the covers you guys will be ranking tonight. Oh, wow. Right out the gate, 4 for the Turtles. So I picked the right one. Brian with the Rocketeer. How about you, Dalton? Which one appealed?
I would lean Rocketeer, but the waters seem to be favoring the Turtles tonight.
I don't want water with the Turtles because Turtles and oh, I know where you went. Okay. All righty. Obviously, the Turtles got it. That's what I started off with. So I don't have to change anything. That's awesome. Anyway, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Listen to us rant for a little bit. No, this channel is not going negative. I might talk about a news story for here or there, but I really love talking about comics. It might go negative. I might do a bad comic beatdown. I'm not going to lie. That's going to happen.
We're going to restrict it to relevance, folks. That's the issue. Yeah,
but,
we're not going to make negativity where there is none.
But yes, I will not become Debbie Downer. But hey, look, if I want to talk about something, I'm going to talk about it, you know? So that will happen, but this channel will not turn negative. I went down that road. I was one of the, no, fuck that. Yeah, well, yeah, I would guess I could say I was one of the original comic skaters. I was the person who pointed out, hey guys, you do realize we're all saying the same thing. You know, why don't we get together? And that's how it all came about. I did a video. It's still on the channel somewhere. I did a video that brought it together. I know how it can all turn to shit, and I'm not interested in doing that. I am interested in talking. But there you go, gang. Don't forget to join us in just about 25 minutes to help us rank some independent comic book covers from the 1980s. Very interested in how this turns out because the Marvel and DC have always done well. I don't know about the independent comic books, so we'll see. We'll see about that. That being said, also thanks to Dalton for joining me with the commentary. Don't forget to do the clicking, liking, sharing, and all that kind of stuff. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching. Have a good night.
Cheers, guys.
That was fun times.